Welcome to the Queen's Conversations podcast, the official podcast for United Kwendom, LLC, hosted by Teddi Rene. Hey there, guys, and welcome to another episode of the Queen Conversations podcast. I'm your host, Teddi Rene, and I am so excited that you are joining me again today. If it is your first time, let me just say thank you for tuning in. Please be sure to subscribe, like, and share with your friends, family, on your social media pages, everywhere. We truly appreciate the support. For those of you who are returning listeners, welcome back. And to those of you who have been emailing, texting, DMing, Instagram story replying with your feedback, your comments, I truly appreciate you. You are helping me to continue and to realize that some of these things that we are discussing on this show are absolutely resonating with some of you, that some of you are listening, that people are actually listening. You know, when you are starting something new and early in those beginning stages, it's a little scary because you don't know if you're wasting your time or if what you are putting out there is actually being received. So I appreciate all of you guys interacting with me and letting me know that you are receiving it and that you're enjoying it. You know, thank you. That is something that it's invaluable right now. So today, before we get into our topic, I said that I was going to give you guys a little bit of information as to why this episode and this week's episodes are a little late. And a big part of it is, so initially I said that they were going to be available on Saturday. Today is Sunday, for those of you listening as soon as it publishes. And, you know, on Saturday, I did what I needed to do for me, which was, one, I had to have a very real and uncomfortable conversation with someone that I truly and deeply love and care for. We are much better for it, so I'm grateful and appreciative of that. But it did take a toll on me, in addition to everything else that has been happening in my life over the last 5 months or so. I was exhausted. So your girl took a nap, okay? I went to sleep in the middle of the day, and it was some of the best sleep that I had in so long. Oh my God, it was so good. So, you know, I got up yesterday, I helped a friend, I had a conversation with another friend, I took a long nap, and then my daughter and I went and hung out. Like, we went to go and celebrate one of my longtime friends getting a house. We went to a housewarming. We hung out. I got to chill with some old friends and just have good times. It was great. And then came home, and so long story short, I did absolutely nothing yesterday that I planned on doing yesterday, except for going to the house. So I am now on Sunday finishing up what I started previously. Prior to Saturday, though, there's been a lot going on in my life, a lot. And I am grateful and blessed that almost all of those things, if not all of them, have worked out in my favor. So, I mean, I'm still somewhat adjusting to my new role at my job. I have had some court things. The kids are starting school this week, so I had to do some last minute registration things for my daughter, daycare, securing before and after care, again, last minute. And y'all know, if you are a parent, it is almost impossible to secure a before and after or a daycare slot once those slots are given away. So because of a lot of things going on, I wasn't able to secure them before. However, like I said, it has all worked out in our favor and we are good now. All right. So lots of stuff happening. I just finished a program that I'll be able to tell you guys more about in a couple of weeks that will absolutely help me take United Kwendom to the next level. I'm a part of this wonderful new ecosystem, not even a community, but an ecosystem of amazing people doing amazing things. And I just cannot wait to jump in to that and get everything that you need, I need, and everyone else connected to us need to help United Kwendom serve its purpose. So yeah, that's all I'm gonna say about that. But like I mentioned earlier, I had to have a very uncomfortable and real conversation with someone that I truly care about. There's so much love there. There's so much history there. And we were having a disagreement about some things. Now, I am grateful that we were able to have that conversation because we both have done a lot of individual growth work and individual healing and all the things that we needed to be better people individually so that our relationship could be better as a result of that. And that speaks directly to growth. And that's the topic. We are going to talk about growth demands and what is required of us to be able or in a position to where we can grow and evolve into higher and more better versions of ourselves. But like I said, my friend and I both have done a lot of growth work. The conversation that we had to have yesterday was not one that we would have been able to have 5 or 6 years ago when we first met. Absolutely not. We honestly wouldn't have been able to have this conversation last year and for it to be as productive as a matter of fact, we have tried to have similar conversations, less, I guess not less serious, but conversations that were less. Like even as recent as January, February, March of this year, okay? And we're not able to do it. We couldn't do it. We were not in a space yet where we could. We had not individually reached a certain level of growth or evolution that allowed us to dig into the issues that we had, the types of issues that we had, and be able to communicate effectively as we were yesterday. So I am very grateful for growth and evolution and the opportunity to grow and evolve as a person, because it directly reflects in all of my interactions, in all of my relationships, in all of my endeavors. So I wanted to, jump on that. And this is all like perfect alignment, because like this is not a topic that I just picked today and decided to speak on. So how I pick topics that I want to discuss are I start to look at different patterns in my life and the lives of those around me, and just in like social media as well. Different things just seem to speak to me or stand out more or be presented to me multiple times. And I've made it a very conscious habit to write those things down. So every time something just kind of sticks with me, I write it down. If it's a thought that lingers a little too long, I write it down. When I get to a point where I go to review some of those things that I've written down, I'll either write about it, or I will outline some key points, or I'll just simply leave it. And some of those topics just keep revealing themselves. They keep coming up. They keep on showing themselves to me. So that's typically how I come up with the topic for these solo episodes. And growth demands was one that not only came across like my Twitter timeline, it also was in a lot of books that I was reading at the time, audiobook. It was in my conversations. It was my current experience. It was what was happening. And I was just like, okay, so this absolutely needs to be an episode. I don't put my episodes in order, like the solo episodes, like when I'm going to do which ones. I just kind of pick when it's time, or rather the week that they're set to publish. And then from there, I'll go back and look at my notes, and then I'll say, okay, like if it's in alignment, which it usually is, it's pretty freaky weird that way. But if it's in alignment with like the current environment, the current climate of just my life or the life of those around me, then that's the episode. So when it came to growth demands, very often you'll hear someone say something like, new year, new me, or this is my year, like 2019 is my year, or on Twitter they'll say, nah, no, but for real, 2020 is really gonna be my year. Like, and it's as if there's some type of magical transformation that takes place, which changes you from the person that you are today to the one that you want to be. But if you go back and check in with some of those same people, they're still the same versions of themselves that they were last month, last year, and unfortunately for a lot of people, last decade. Like nothing has changed, even though they said that they were on a growth journey. And while there are many factors that play a role as to why people perhaps don't continue their growth journey or even start, I think that when they're saying, new year, new me, they're like, well, I don't want to change. But what they're really seeking when they adopt this new mentality is growth or evolution into the person that they envision themselves to be. But they don't always understand what it requires to grow into that version. And even just from a very high level, not even getting into the specific details of what they as an individual need to grow or evolve. So today I am going to help by giving a few of those things, those high level things that growth demands from us if we are truly and seriously ready to evolve and pursue our growth journey. Just a note, these are not the easiest things, but these are decisions that we must make before we attempt on our growth journey. And if we aren't perfect in any of these, that's okay. We're not supposed to be perfect. We just need to be open and willing to accept the process, to go through the process, and to grow through it. All right, so Here are 5 things that growth demands. Number 1, growth demands letting go. Now, I know that seems so super basic, right? Somebody somewhere is going, duh, Teddi, like for real. But seriously, so many of us expect things to stay the same and change at the same time. But unfortunately, that's not how this works. In order to grow beyond what and where we are right now, we have to let go of what is and be open to the possibilities of what could be. We have to have a new vision, and you have to have a vision that differs from what your current reality is. You have to accept the change and accept that change is inevitable, and then allow the universe to present opportunities to you in order to grow. You cannot be presented opportunities if you are shut off to them. You're not going to see them. You don't have to let go of everything, but you do need to let go of anything that is not aligned with the direction that you want to grow into. So that's number 1. Number 1 is letting go. Number 2, the number 2 thing that growth demands, and this one is one that was very hard for me to even recognize, let alone to be able to accept. But it is the one that I am the most proud of my growth and my progress in. So number 2 thing that growth demands is that you master your emotions. Master your emotions. What does that mean? Oh my God. Like, how do you do that? I mean, they're just your emotions. You feel what you feel when you feel it. True, but not true, right? So the best way to sum this up is earlier today, I saw a post on my friend Sean Moore's Instagram page, right? Sean Moore is the host of the Mindful Rebel podcast. He's a creative genius, and he is a sound meditation practitioner. And on his Instagram stories feed this morning, just this morning, right? And I say this is perfect alignment because mastering your emotions was one of the tips that I was going to give today, regardless of when I recorded it. But I just happened to come across this morning while I'm recording it later than expected, right? But the post said it says, feel the feeling, but don't become the emotion. And there's a little bit more to that. But when I read that, I immediately thought about my journey and my progress when it came to anger and love. So number 1, a lot of us have, when it comes to mastering your emotions, there are 3 things that I think are very vital and 3 things that help me myself to master my emotions or to become a better master of them. And the first one was to expand the range and my range of emotions. What I mean by that is that a lot of us, if not all of us, especially growing up, we have very elementary understanding of our own emotions, what we feel. We literally, from when we're kids, we learn happy, sad, and mad, right? For a lot of us, that doesn't change when we get older. We don't start learning things like resentment or embarrassment or pain or, any other emotion. We always go, if I'm not happy, then I must be sad. And if I'm not happy or sad, then I must be angry. Like, that's it. Our emotional range far exceeds that. And a lot of times, due to our lack of emotional range, and then also because of the way that we're raised, we sometimes connect the wrong actions to the wrong emotions. So in my case, it was love and anger. I used to think that if I cared about somebody and they did something that really upset me, like only somebody I love a lot could get me this angry. Nobody else can affect me like the people that are important to me. But unfortunately, I was conditioned to connect my love for someone, to show it as anger, and to present to them behaviors that were more reminiscent of hatred, or, like I would lash out and just say the worst things, right? And it wasn't something that I did intentionally to hurt them. It was something that I thought was me expressing my anger, my frustration, my pain, my hurt. But really, I was just hurting the people that I love. And it took my best friend at the time. He was a guy that I was involved with, but he still remains very important to my life. But he was one of the first people to, instead of running away and just disconnecting from me and leaving me to my own devices and just being like, you know what, she's just batshit crazy. Like, he was one of the first people, the first person to ever say, all right, look, I don't like it when you talk to me like this. I don't like how it makes me feel when you say these things. You tell me that you feel this way about me, but then when you get upset, then this is what I get. And that does not make me feel loved. It brings me pain, and I want you to stop it. If you cannot stop it, then I will need to remove myself from this situation. And it was the first time where I was shown that my behaviors to someone that I loved were not appropriate, and then also given a set of boundaries to which I had to decide, well, what's important to me? Sticking to my old ways or keeping this person as a part of my life? And people say, oh, well, how didn't you know that was wrong? Because I didn't. Again, we are products of our learning, and that could either be genetically inclined, like things that come to us, or it could be our environment. For me, it was a combination of just, this is what we did in my family. When you're upset with somebody, that was just my experience, that there were some people in my life that I loved and I knew they loved me, but our interactions were not always gentle and, showing care and love with kind words and gestures. When we got upset, that's what we did. So to me, that was normal. That's not normal. Okay. It's unacceptable. So having this brought to my attention allowed me the space and the opportunity to say, you know what? I've been trying to work on my anger for all this time. Now I have another aspect or perspective on this. Let's see what I can do. Let me see what I need to do to fix this, because I don't want to hurt the people that I love with my words and my anger just because I'm angry. So the first thing is creating or identifying a range of emotions that exceed happy, sad, and angry. 2 is being aware of your reactions to those emotions. So not becoming that emotion, as the quote said on Sean's page. And then the third thing was to identify opportunities or triggers for those emotions. The third thing is actually to identify what you deem to be an acceptable presentation of that emotion. So in anger, right? I can be angry without spazzing the fuck out. So deciding that, Teddi, it is not okay to say very mean and hurtful things just because you are angry. That is a limit. That is a boundary that I set on myself, knowing what my history with anger was. So expanding the range of your emotions, identifying your responses and identifying acceptable responses, and then identifying your triggers, right? So in what instances was it historically, predictable that I was going to fly off the handle in this way? Identifying those and then kind of making a game plan as to how you're going to respond or what you're going to do to give yourself time and space from between the action and the emotion. So now what I do is, if ever I'm in a situation where I get angry, especially at someone that I love or care about or something that they did or didn't do, I pause. I take a moment, right? I don't respond. Or if I respond, it's very vague, high level. It has nothing to do with my feelings. I try not to express myself in that moment, because I know that immediate expression is not going to be what I truly want to get across to them. Okay. Not saying I'm not pissed off, just that I don't want them to just see that as pissed off. I need to figure out why I'm pissed off. What part of this made me so angry? Is it because I'm really just hurt? Is it because I feel betrayed? Is it because I'm in physical pain? Is it because, what is it? I need that time, that space to kind of process it before I can react. And that's not something that I've always done. That's something I used to miss. So mastering your emotions is a process. It is difficult. It requires a lot of steps. And it wasn't until, last year when I first started therapy, it was because I had so much going on in life and I just wanted someone to talk to. Not because I couldn't handle it, but because I did not want to handle it alone. And I also found out my mom was bipolar, after she passed away. So I wanted to make sure, I was having all this stress and all these mood swings. And I was like, Lord, let me go see if I'm bipolar, because if so, then this is a deeper issue and I absolutely need some help. So I started talking to my therapist, and one of the very first things we started working on was controlling my reaction to my emotions and just finding opportunities for me to sit in the feeling without responding with action. And it was because I was open to the possibility and to wanting to grow that I was able to do this successfully, because it was perfect alignment. I was having major relationship problems at the time, and with my best friend, we were it was bad. It was so bad. And there was just a lot happening that I could not control, and it made me feel frustrated. I was upset. I was hurt. I was confused. I was embarrassed. There were so many emotions that I was feeling. And all of those emotions historically would have led straight to anger and to a response and to just lashing out to get the attention that I wanted. And doing this therapy work at this time turned out to be perfect because I was able to be uncomfortable and be okay with being uncomfortable so that I could recognize what these different feelings felt like. I could differentiate between, being hurt and feeling betrayed. Like I can differentiate between being angry and being just, discontent. Like I did not, everything was not the same feeling. I could break them down and express myself better. Once I had the words to identify my feelings, then I could say, okay, I could kind of start putting them on like a spectrum of, from severity to less severe emotions or intensity levels, so to speak, and what I deem to be an appropriate intensity level for my reaction to this. And then from there, it was like, okay, well, what is completely off limits as far as your reaction to whatever? And I began to work on, loving people from a space of detachment to the point where their actions, their decisions, be it for their life or our relationship or my relation to them, did not elicit a response from me because I was invested in the relationship, but not into the decisions made or, the plans for the relationship. Like it was a lot of work. It was great work. It was amazing. And it has helped to master my emotions. So I'll say this and then we'll move. If you are finding yourself with a very limited vocabulary to express how you are feeling, if all of your negative feelings feel like either sadness or anger and there's no additional range or additional emotions you can attach them to, then you should consider looking deeper into your own emotional mastery. And you could start that by looking for a therapist. You could start that by reading some books. You could start that by seeking support groups. But it may be a good time to start because once you master your emotions, like, they say you can't control what happens to you, but you can only control how you respond to it. That has everything to do with you mastering your emotions. You cannot act like something does not bother you when it bothers you unless you master your emotions. And not to be deceitful, but so that you can properly get whatever lesson is supposed to be taught to you or get out of the situation what you're supposed to. Okay? And that kind of that goes into like self-discipline and self-control. Like all of that is mastering your emotions. And you have to get out of the situation what you're supposed to get out of it so that you can move on to the next thing on this journey of growth. And that leads us into number 3, which is growth demands faith. So in addition to getting what you need out of the lesson and moving forward to the next one, you have to believe and have faith that anything that is happening is supposed to happen. And it's happening because there is something there for you to gather from that experience. You can't just think that you are a victim of a circumstance. You have to understand or go into every situation with the faith that it's for your good. At the end of the day, it's to help guide you to your higher version of yourself. And that it's something that is absolutely necessary. My best friend reminds me all the time when I am on the verge or on the cusp, like riding that line of, I call it the victim mentality, right? It's why is this happening to me? Every time I get a good thing going, then something else happens, or it's always something like I can't just catch it. I just can't catch a break. Like whenever he catches me sliding into that direction, even if it's briefly, or sometimes I might have just crossed the line and went straight for, you know what? Fuck this. I'm so sick of this shit. He'll say, somebody once told me that you can't have faith and worry at the same time. And when he says that, he's giving me my own words, because it's something that I told him many times during his trials and his tribulations when he was feeling defeated and at a loss for direction. I would tell him the same thing, that if you have faith, you cannot truly worry, because once you put your faith into your higher being, into God, into the fact that this is going to work out, there is no space for worry. Faith and worry cannot coexist in the same space. One, you need to put in your box. The other one you need to put out of your box. You pick which one is which. So growth demands faith, because you have to know that it's going to work out how it's supposed to, when it's supposed to, and that whatever is happening, it needs to happen. You can think about it from a spiritual perspective, from, an emotional perspective, like whatever your beliefs are, this is true and can absolutely be aligned to that. Because think about all the times that you have been presented a struggle or a challenging situation, right? One of the very first things we tend to do is to start feeling defeated, to start getting upset or angry or discontent, or showing our discontent for the situation, because we're being stretched. We're being asked to do something that's uncomfortable. We're being placed in a situation that's not ideal or preferred. We just want to relax, right? We just want to enjoy what we've achieved so far. And seems like every time you get your footing, here comes life knocking you off balance. But you said you wanted to grow, so it's going to happen. Instead of looking at it from that perspective, looking at it as, yes, here comes another chance for me to stretch. Here comes another chance for me to exercise this muscle. Here comes another chance for me to get from version A of Teddy to version Z. Yes, instead of looking at it from a positive point, we tend to be like, oh my God, like why me? Why this? Why that? Why? Well, because you asked for it. You said you were ready for it. Now you must trust that this is what has to happen to get you to where you want to be, period. And we often also forget all the times previously, like historically, where we thought we weren't going to make it through, and we did. Like, where are your receipts? Not only your own personal receipts, but God's receipts. For me, it's God. Like, for you, it could be some other belief or some other higher power that you attach your victories and your successes to. God is my reason for my victories. Like, there have been times where I absolutely should not. There was nothing, no evidence, no proof, no nothing saying that this was going to work out for me, and it worked out 100%. Every single time, every single thing, every single challenge that I have ever come up against has been won. And that is God. Nothing but God. There are times where I literally was just like, you know what? Fuck it. And it still worked out. I did absolutely nothing and it worked out. That is God. So having faith is necessary. And in those times where you feel short on faith, having receipts, like recently I have had like I said, I've been going through a few things, with court and school and the kids and registration for before and after care and all that stuff. And paying for lawyers and all this stuff. No idea where any of this was going to come from. No idea what was going to happen. But do you know what I did? I wrote it down before it happened and I put it in my God did that box. I'm claiming things early. I started the God did that box as a box of receipts for times that God did provide for me when I didn't expect him to. But now I'm using it to thank him in advance, because I have faith now due to all of those times where, he showed up and showed out for me. But now I have faith that if I ask for it and I literally can be like, thank you for, getting before and after care, opening up that slot for before and after care on Friday before school started, so that, I don't have to worry about it. And boom, put it in a box. Guess what? By Friday, there's a slot open for me. So having faith is something that it may absolutely require time to build. But once you have those receipts, once history shows you what is possible for you and that victory is a possibility, stick to that. Remember that. Take the faith over the fake thoughts or what the enemy is trying to put into your head, that any of those negative thoughts that make you think less than. Don't worry. Do not worry. Choose faith. So growth demands faith. All right, moving on. Number 4, what growth demands is focus. I am one of those people who do a lot, and I do a lot of a lot. And people always say, well, how do you do so much? Do you, are you like a great multitasker? And I say, well, I'm a great prioritizer. I prioritize everything. Does that mean I'm sitting here with 5 computers or laptops open at a time? Depending on the time of the day, I might. But a lot of times it's because I am working on a couple of things and I actually just need more screens. I do. But I am focused on one task. I'm focused on one thing. My energy, my attention, my mental capacity is given to one thing at a time in a given time, which is why I do a lot of time blocking. So focus, because I can accomplish a lot of things in one general time span, like a month, but within an hour, I'm not trying to work on 5 different things, because then my focus is broken. I'm shifting from one thing to the other and nothing's really getting finished. Like, let's be honest. Nothing's really getting done. It's just a lot of busy work and doing a lot of the wrong things. It doesn't ever really lead to success. It leads to a lot of stress. So focusing on the person that you want to be and what that looks like for you, who you want to grow into, what life looks like for you, like that is something that requires practice, because there are so many distractions in this world that it's easy, especially with social media and cell phones and Instagram. Like, even with my computer open, if I'm recording this and someone sends me a text message, my iMessages on my phone may not pop up because it's on Do Not Disturb, but it'll come up on my computer screen. That's a distraction. So focus requires a lot of that emotional control that we talked about earlier, because you have to remember that, yes, I may want to reply to my friends, and yes, I may want to go and do all those things, but I have a goal. I have a growth goal. I am going to stare it down every day. I'm going to think about it all the time. I am going to put my mind on it, because what you focus on is what becomes your reality. Focus, focus, focus. Stay focused. Tunnel vision. Again, not saying that you can't have multiple priorities at one time, but when you're working on one thing, that is what you need to be working on. If your growth goal is to master your emotions, focus on mastering your emotions. Look for opportunities where you can exercise the muscle that you need to grow and stretch to become a better master of your emotions. Look for interactions where you would normally feel upset or outraged or angry, and make it a very conscious effort to acknowledge your feelings. Write it down, journal, whatever it takes for you to focus, do that. Okay? But remember that what you focus on is what you create. You can focus on the old version of you, or you can focus on the new version of you. Which one is going to be? You can focus on your mistakes, or you can focus on your victories. Which one is it going to be? Right? You can focus on yesterday, or you can focus on tomorrow. Which one is it going to be? Because whichever one you pick, that's the one you pick, and that is what you're going to do. Next, the last and final thing, and when I say last and final, I don't mean last and final period. I just mean the last and final one we are going to discuss today. The last growth demand, the 5th growth demand, is growth demands commitment. I know y'all, if you're following me, you've seen me say or heard me say many times that a decision is a very powerful thing. And it's true, because once you decide that you want to do something, or you are going to do something, or that you are on this growth journey, you are going to have to decide every single time that decision needs to be made. And what I mean by that is, for example, speaking of growth, right? I have a hair growth commitment that I made to myself a little over 5 years ago. I promised myself, once I decided that I was going to stay natural, I wasn't going to put another relaxer in it, and I was going to grow it out. So I committed to growing my hair for 10 years. And I know it seems, number one, it seemed like a really long time, but it seemed like a really short time at the same time. But for somebody who I've always, like, since, I want to say college, like freshman year of college, so like my real freshman year, like 2002, 2003, I was always somebody who was quick to go get the scissors, cut my hair, go to the hairstylist and be like, taper the back, like long in the front, or not even long in the front, just longer in the front, just short hair. I was always cutting my hair. I loved it. I enjoyed it. It was easier to manage, easier to maintain, and give me a fresh relaxer. That was me, right? So when I cut it this time, I was like, this was such a drastic and dramatic change. I do have a daughter who I want her hair to be natural, and I want her to have the decision of, doing to her hair whatever she pleases as she gets older, but I don't want to take her choice away from her to have all of this hair natural from birth without chemical processing and all that. But I don't know how to take care of that kind of hair. I don't. So I commit to 10 years of growing my hair, taking care of my hair, learning my hair to better take care of my daughter's hair. And also to show myself that I can actually go 10 years without cutting my hair. So again, fast forward, here we are, a little more than 5 years later. And I am struggling, because I don't like this natural hair stuff. It's not fun for me. It's not, once I got past that little teeny tiny puff, and now I have a decent puff. I feel like my puff's been bigger and stronger and healthier. But now I'm just experiencing all this breakage, and it just doesn't seem to be growing, and I can't get certain spots to do what I want it to do. It's just so much. And at this point, I'm ready to give up. I'm ready to just cut it all off and actually go get a relaxer. I am sick of it. However, However, I haven't done it yet. Why? Because I made a commitment to myself a long time ago that I would keep my hair, I would grow my hair for 10 years. And we have not hit that 10-year mark. I have not yet achieved the level to which I pursued. But again, my consistency has lacked and swayed, and therefore I have been ready to get rid of my decision or to jump off this growth bandwagon. That is wrong. Here I am talking to you guys about wanting to cut my hair and relax it. I got 5 more years. Now we are at a space where I am required to come up with a new vision of my hair for myself so that I can pursue that. I need to come up with a plan again to master my emotions. I got to remember my receipts and have faith that it will grow. Growth is possible. I got to focus on this goal because, to be honest, I've been doing so much of so many other things. It hasn't been a focus. And then I just got to stay committed. And every time I have the opportunity to change my decision, I need to remember that I made the decision already and make that decision over and over again until I hit my 10-year mark. All right. I think I'm going to stop right there because I feel like I'm getting into a rant. But yeah, so just to recap, growth demands 5 things. 5 things that growth demands is a new vision, mastery of your emotion, focus, and commitment. Let me know if you guys enjoyed this episode, how you felt about it. If you give me some insight, like did this resonate with you? Does this make sense? Are these some things that you noticed and recognized or observed as well? Which one of these have you mastered? Which one of these are you struggling with? Why are you struggling? Do you need help mastering your emotions? Do you need recommendations for therapists to help you with that emotion work? Do you have a vision? Is it hard to settle on a vision? Talk to me, y'all. Tell me what's going on. Tell me how you feel. Tell me how life is. I will talk to you guys later. As usual, you can find me on Instagram at Teddi Rene. You can find United Kwendom and all of the podcast episodes at www.unitedkwendom. That's KWEENDOM.com/podcast. All right, guys. Have a great day. Bye.